The changing landscape of the housing market in Las Vegas requires a real estate professional that understands how to get your offer accepted, willing to go above and beyond for service and accountability. Hi, my name is Dan French. I've been in the real estate and financing industry for over 13 years. Most real estate agents struggle with answering their phone. Please call me directly, 702-557-6176. I'm available for all your real estate needs.
Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
And what's going on, everybody? We're actually on time today. Thank the Lord on that. Everybody out there, this is Dan French. Thank you for tuning in. This is the French Workbench podcast here on a Tuesday. Have a great studio, a full studio. I don't think I've had this many people for a long time. A lot of familiar faces, though. I'm going to go across the room. So you guys know this is the most real behind-the-scenes information on financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs happening here in Las Vegas. And I'm your host with a lot of co-hosts. You guys know who I am. Also, I want to go over here and introduce Mr. Joey Andron. Joey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Dan?
What's going on, man? You look stellar today.
Thank you. I just got a fresh fade.
Dude, it looks good, man.
That's like 2 hours old.
And if you guys don't know why I always wear a hat, because I don't have Joey's hairline, so...
Do the reveal, please.
Okay, real quick. Do you see this, people?
Oh,
now I look like I'm 25. So what's going on, man? What's going on in your world?
Busy as ever. Busy as ever. You know, doing the deal, real estate, showing houses, just keeping up with it. You know what I mean?
Dude, you're a killer. He's out there. He's crushing it. He's putting 2.5 in the bank like no tomorrow. He's closing deals. Like, man, sometimes I look up to you.
sometimes.
Yeah, Joey's a good guy, man. Like, and he's always like that positive figure out there, just hammering it. Like, dude, there's always one around the corner. Somebody's gonna work with you, and that's your mentality. I love
That's
it.
it. Positive
Positivity.
affirmations, man.
Works all around the room. And Esmeralda's back. What's going on, Esmeralda?
Well, I just got back from Atlanta, so I'm hyped.
You're hyped up?
You're hyped? You still on vacation mode? Or what's going on?
She's hyped.
Oh my God! So I love Atlanta. I
What,
do.
like
It's
Atlanta
nice.
Housewives or what? What's going on? Like, was that what you went there for?
No! Oh my God! So I heard that I was in Pahrump in Atlanta.
Wait, what?
Wait,
Yeah.
this doesn't even make sense. What?
Okay,
No?
so I thought I was in Atlanta downtown because I've never been to Atlanta, right? So I went to Atlanta. I met some friends or whatever, and they told me that I was like basically it was like Pahrump in Vegas, but it was Atlanta.
Did you go to Magic City?
No. So I was like,
what's
what
Magic
happened?
City? That sounds like something like for adults, like Disneyland. What is
It kind
that?
of it's an
explain.
all-inclusive place that it's a very pro-women's facility where a lot of men go to support, you know, the women's side of life, and we show them with dollar bills how we feel
Elaborate,
about
please,
them.
Ethan. What does that mean? This is
That's
dollar
actually a
bills.
fantastic description. I was actually intrigued. I leaned in for that one.
Matter of fact, I stopped hosting for a second. I want to hear this. Go ahead. Go ahead and talk, Ethan. Ethan's our
Go for it,
co-host
Ethan.
today.
I want to know more about this Pahrump Atlanta.
So you went out to Atlanta. What was out there? What did you do there?
My friends, they put a conference together for what, you know, some of their businesses. So I went there to support them.
Okay.
But they did it in Atlanta this time.
Atlanta.
And so there was all kinds of different people that came from different, you know, LA, Vegas, New York, I mean, everywhere. But it was just funny to, you know, I've never been to Atlanta, so it was rough.
So what's
It
the
was
biggest
rough.
difference
Wait,
between
it's
here
rough.
and Atlanta? What's the biggest difference? Is it humid out there? Like, I've never been to Atlanta.
It's
Talk to-
hot, and I
tell
was
us what it-
scared.
Why were you scared?
It was rough in the area that I was at.
Okay.
And
Were
then
you-
I
were
got
you
the wrong
packing, or-
Uber. And then I got the wrong Uber. So then he dropped me off like at 7-Eleven, and it was aggressive. I
Just
was
got
like,
in someone's car?
yeah, I was like, should I wear a bulletproof vest in here? I
is
don't know.
Atlanta.
Hey, it's like that, huh? So did you really consider maybe, you know, carrying at that time, or I just want to know, like, was that on the agenda possibly?
It would have been
or-
helpful. It would have been
Really,
helpful.
you'd have felt a lot more confident. So I want to get into it. We also have Ethan here, Ethan Earhart. What's up, buddy? And so you have something really spectacular happening this weekend. Is that
Yeah,
right?
guys, if you're in Vegas, Saturday the 30th at Big Dogs Brewery. If you're familiar with them, they're from the Midwest. They make some amazing food. They brew like over 50 of their own beers in-house. They brew their own root beer there. They're having a massive reggae festival over the weekend, and it's going to be like 12 hours long. So it'll be like all you can drink beers.
Are you going to stay for the whole thing, or is it like?
I'm going to be there at like noon. I'll probably be out by 1 a.m.
So you're not shutting it down then?
I'm going to try.
You're going to try.
I'm going to try.
Hey man,
13 hours.
Hey, it's the weekend.
And Ethan, what company you represent, man?
Those of you that don't know me, I'm with AEY Marketing. We do social media distribution for celebrities, pro athletes, and a lot of businesses nationwide. So if you need anything like SEO, web development, or anything created, or your social media just handled properly, give us a call. AEY Marketing.
Awesome work, everybody. So let's get to our guest of honor. He is the guy here that everybody wants to pick his brain. He is the guy here that's come all the way down to answer all your questions about what's happening with water. Are we in a drought? Do we need the water police cop out there to come in and the water police to come in and put the hammer down, right? So let's go over and introduce our guy, Bronson Mack. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey, doing well, Dan. Thanks so much for having me on. Happy to talk about water. Great to see everybody here. Got to say, man, this is the most stellar podcast studio in town.
Oh, dude,
you're setting the bar high.
I'm hyped right now, man. He's coming, and he goes to a lot of podcast people. So if you're out there,
nice.
Don't think he doesn't know what podcasts need to look like. You're saying this is top notch.
This is top notch. This looks better even than the podcast that I run, the Water Smarts podcast. Just a quick little plug there, but no, you're setting the standard.
No, man. Hold on. Okay, let's get back. So, anyways, let's talk a little bit about what's happening today with the water situation. I mean, everybody has questions here, and we're going to let our guest answer those questions. That we were scolded by other people that we are just cutting people off. Bronson, I promise, man, you're going to have the whole enchilada today. You're going to be the man of the hour. So let's get into this. What's happening with water? Let's roll this down here for a second. So what's happening with water? Are we in a drought right now? I mean, you see Lake Mead.
Well, are we in a drought right now?
Yeah.
I mean, we have been talking about drought in this community for the past 2 decades. This drought really started in the early 2000s. You don't realize you're in a drought until you're already about waist deep. And it was 2002 when the flows of the Colorado River were 25% of their average flow. And that was when the drought was really declared with all of the 7 states in the country of Mexico, all of which share the Colorado River. And since that time, over those past, we'll call it 22 years, we've had 5 years of above average flows on the river, which means we have had approximately, 17 years of below average flows. So when you look at Lake Powell, when you look at Lake Mead, when you look at what's going on with the Colorado River in and of itself, it is all about drought, which is the manifestation of climate change. And that has been really exacerbated and seen with low snowpack in the Colorado Rockies. That means less runoff into the Colorado River system. Extended years of dry conditions have also dried out the soils on that western slope of the Rockies, so that when there is some solid snowpack, like there was a couple of years ago, a lot of that runoff ends up getting absorbed by the soils before it makes its way into the river system. We saw significant wildfires in Colorado as a result of those dry conditions. So, having some of that runoff get absorbed by the natural environment is a bit of a positive, but it does have negative implications for how much water gets into the Colorado River, makes its way down to Lake Powell, and ultimately into Lake Mead. That is what really we have been experiencing over the past 20 years, and why we have been continually reminding this community that conservation is our #1 water resource.
Yeah, I want to bring this up, and you guys can start chiming in on all these questions. So Bronson Mack is with the Las Vegas Valley Water District, also Southern Nevada Water Authority. And how long you been with these companies? Or it's one company, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, the Las Vegas Valley Water District serves as the managing agent for the Southern Nevada Water Authority. You got to get back in the time machine and go back to the early 90s when City of Henderson, North Las Vegas, Boulder City, Las Vegas Valley Water District. All of these are familiar municipalities for us. The township of Laughlin with the Big Bend Water District. All of these entities had their own contracts for water out of the Colorado River from Lake Mead. There was still some unallocated water that was available for Nevada to use, and each of those municipalities wanted to gain access to that water. Ultimately, that means that they could continue to see economic growth, they could continue to meet the demands of their community. And the federal government at that time said, listen, Nevada, you need to get your house in order, and you guys all need to kind of come together and speak to us with one voice, because all of you are vying for what remains here as far as Nevada's allocation. So all of those entities got together. They all put their water resources, their water rights into a bucket in the middle of the room. They formed the Southern Nevada Water Authority in order to manage those water resources on a regional basis. That put every municipality on an equal footing. That then led to one entity serving as the managing agent for all of our water supply. That's the treatment of the water, that's the delivery of the water to the municipalities, meeting those water quality standards, and managing that resource in and of itself. And so the Southern Nevada Water Authority was born. As a result of that, now we have a lot of parity across the valley for the municipalities all using that water. And on top of that, it ensures that the conservation rules that are in Henderson are the same conservation rules that are in North Las Vegas, as in Clark County, as in the city. Okay. So that's why we've got conservation consistent across the board here, because we have a unified water management system under the Southern Nevada Water Authority. And the Las Vegas Valley Water District serves as the managing agent for SNWA. And that allows for shared resources, right? So the engineers at the Las Vegas Valley Water District help to engineer for SNWA. The finance department, the HR department, right? There's a lot of shared resources between those entities. And then what that does ultimately reduces costs to ratepayers and allows for those shared resources collectively across the board.
That was like the biggest knowledge bomb ever. That was just intense. Listen,
was it too much?
No, it's not.
That was fantastic.
I heard an answer that a lot of people I hear, and I had myself, and you did answer it, and a lot of ding-dongs like myself out there go like, well, the water level is lowering at Lake Mead. How come we don't just turn on the Colorado River and just fill it back up? But you did explain that it's because of lack of snow and the snow melt and things like that. And then we hear things like people are stealing water. I don't know how you identify water that's stolen, but they said that there's a lot of people sharing Lake Mead and that people are, I guess, using water over a certain point and they're not supposed to be. Is this correct?
So great question. And I think it's probably just important to rewind that back and just remind everybody that Lake Mead, while it's in our backyard, it's not all our water. We share Lake Mead with the country of Mexico, with California, and with Arizona. In fact, Southern Nevada is the smallest water user of water from Lake Mead. We're entitled to use 4% of the water that's available in Lake Mead. The remaining 96% goes down to Arizona, California, and the country of Mexico. They have legal entitlements to that water, just like we have a legal entitlement to our 4%. But even with that limited amount of water, and there are more reductions coming as a result of shortages, but even with that limited amount of water, we've been able to sustain this community. We've been able to grow this community since 2002 by 750,000 people while consuming 26% less water. In fact, we've cut our per capita water use over the past 20 years by about 50%. And we've done that all because of water conservation. And we have more conservation we need to do, but it's because of that that we've been able to really manage water supplies with water demands. And balancing that, conservation serves as the fulcrum for that balance.
Didn't California just take more rights from Lake Mead?
So California gets 4.4 million acre feet. Okay. And they do have some water that they have stored in Lake Mead under different agreements. That's helped keep the lake levels up over the past couple of years. But 4.4 million acre feet in Lake Mead, it's somewhere on the order of about 50 feet in lake elevation. So should California take all of their water one day, Lake Mead would ultimately drop about 45 to 50 feet as a result of that. But California doesn't take it all in one day, right? They take it over a period of years. And again, California is not necessarily the bad guy here. Sure, they get 4.4 million acre feet of water, but when the Colorado River Compact was developed in the 1920s and the 7 states got together and divvied up all of the water that was on the river, California was the one that was using the Colorado River first. And they were using that for irrigation of agriculture, you know? And so with that, they ended up getting a very large share of that river system. Now, a portion of California's water goes to serve urban areas. We're talking Los Angeles, we're talking San Diego, we're talking even upwards of Santa Barbara to some degree. So you're talking about large municipal urban water users. That said, more than 3 million acre feet of that 4.4 goes to ag. And it goes to growing the winter fruits and vegetables that we all appreciate when we go to the grocery store and hit the produce aisle. But on top of that, they also grow a lot of forage crops. In fact, 80% of the Colorado River goes to agriculture, and 80% of that 80% goes to growing forage crops or grasses. This is pasture grass up in the upper basin, right, for cattle and feed. This is grass right here in southern Nevada that hardly anybody uses, which is why we want to get rid of it. And then this is alfalfa, Sudan grass, hay down in Southern California. So there's a lot of water that goes to agriculture, and it's important that as we look at the sustainability of the river, as the urban populations have dropped their water use, we need all sectors to be doing that as well. That includes agriculture.
Should they just like cut off almonds and avocados altogether?
Think so.
Isn't it like 64 gallons to grow one avocado or something stupid?
Yeah, and like 1 gallon to grow an almond, right?
Super worth it.
Really?
Yeah, it's
This
like 1
guy's
gallon
like-
of water to
You're
grow
like,
an almond.
as you're eating your snack mix, you're like, yeah, it's crazy.
There goes that water.
Yeah.
I gotta
Now-
get some almonds real quick. I'll be right back.
Well, I was just gonna say, right? You like almonds.
I love almonds.
I like
man.
almonds, right?
Dude, almonds
So-
and chocolate is the thing, right?
The great mix, right? I mean, those are two
Chocolate
great
covered
tastes
almonds.
that taste great
Yeah.
together, right? To take it back to the old Reese's commercials. But the thing to keep in mind is, yes, winter fruits and vegetables or anything that ends up in our produce aisle, absolutely, we should be growing those things. Those are needed for our nation's food supply. And so is some of the Sudan grass and alfalfa that grows to feed cattle and livestock here in the United States. But a large portion of that also gets exported out to other countries, to Asia, to Saudi Arabia. In fact, Saudi Arabia doesn't even allow for the cultivation of alfalfa within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia
Why is
because they
that?
recognize how much water it uses.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
California.
They also don't allow alcohol, so it's kind of weird. I don't know what's going on
So
over
I
there.
have a question. So, like for example, the Mirage and some of these other resorts that have like real plants and stuff, are they restricted with the restrictions with water since they have such a high,
Good question.
level of flowers and grass and like, you're talking about like the golf course and all these other. I mean, how does that? I mean, is there
Is that
certain-
gray water?
Yeah.
Or are
So-
they just recycling that?
Great questions. Let's talk about that sector by sector. And since you talked about resorts for a moment, let's start there.
Okay.
So one thing to keep in mind is that 40% of our water supply is used indoors here in Southern Nevada. 60% is used outdoors. And it's that outdoor water we only get to use once because that 40% that we use indoors, we reclaim, we treat it to clean water standards, and we safely return that back to Lake Mead through the Las Vegas wash.
Very cool.
And the wash is a natural, well, it used to be a natural wetlands, but since it's been managed, but there's a lot of wetlands through there that help to polish that treated wastewater a little bit further before it makes its way to Lake Mead. That water goes into Lake Mead pretty warm too, so it's really that water that's up there on the surface. We then have a deep water intake that's drawing that cooler, clean water out. Every gallon that we return to Lake Mead means we can bring another gallon into the valley through the drinking water treatment process. This is how we stretch our limited water allocation, because our indoor water use, it's a perpetual motion machine. It's the water that we use outdoors, we only get to use once. So resorts, a large share of the resort water use is indoors, right? Guest rooms, showers, restaurants. We could flush every toilet, turn on every shower and every sink in every hotel room on the Las Vegas Strip, and it wouldn't increase the amount of water we deplete from the Colorado River.
No shit.
Because all of that is getting
Wow.
returned back.
Seriously?
So it's the outdoor water use where you really have any kind of consumption at a resort with the addition of evaporative cooling. Evaporative cooling is our second largest consumer of water. Now, what's evaporative cooling? It's air conditioning. It's air conditioning for large buildings, but it's water intensive. It's a process of bringing water through a system, cooling that air, basically evaporating that water to cool the air and push it back into the building as you're drawing that hot air back out. So evaporative cooling is one that we're actually focused on. We're working with the facility managers groups. We're working with the business community because we'd like to put a prohibition on any new evaporative cooling going in. And then at the same time, find ways in which we can retrofit and make existing evaporative cooling even more water efficient. Resorts use 5% of our water supply. Golf courses, you mentioned golf courses, they use about 6% of our water supply, but they're on a water budget. So they're only allowed to use a limited amount of water per irrigated acre, and that water budget is about to be reduced in 2024. So we've started that process with the golf courses. Golf courses have taken out grass throughout this valley, and they've removed the equivalent of 9 professional golf courses simply by taking grass outside of the playing areas. So leaving the fairways, leaving the greens, leaving the tee boxes, but taking out the stuff that's in between or the stuff that's at the entrances. That's the equivalent of 9
Where most of my
professional golf
balls
courses. Me and you both, man. Right? All of a sudden, all of our golf courses here are more desert golf
I'm like
courses.
looking
and I'm
for
like,
rattlesnakes
I'm
and
out.
scorpions. And
Right? Easter egg hunting over there. I'm right there with you.
So I want to bring something up real quick. So everybody has probably seen this image here, and so this image is showing what's happening with Lake Mead, and you can see, how lush that water looks in 2000, right? And now you're looking at 2022, and it's dried up. Now, should you be concerned? Because look, I don't want to tell people like, hey, be all worrywart over here, but I mean, this is something alarming, and it's really driving people, and I'm sure Joey's come across this, where they may not want to move here to Las Vegas because they're thinking there's a water drought. So what do you say about that?
Well, the thing to keep in mind when you see that image there is that's a portion of Lake Mead. That's considered the Overton arm of Lake Mead. So that's sort of the northern portion, if you will, of the lake that kind of goes up into Overton, where the Virgin River and the Muddy River come in. But certainly the dropping water levels in Lake Mead that we have seen just in the past couple of years are definitely concerning. This drought is very serious. The flows of the Colorado River being reduced as they are is very serious. This year, the federal government held back about 500,000 acre feet. Now, an acre feet is enough water for about 3 homes for an entire year. We're entitled to 300,000 acre feet. I told you California gets 4.4 million. Arizona gets 2.8 million. We get 300,000 acre feet. And this year, the Bureau of Reclamation held back 500,000 acre feet up in Lake Powell because Lake Powell's water levels were so low, they were protecting the power pool, the ability to continue to generate hydroelectric power at Glen Canyon Dam. So less water was released down to Lake Mead this year as a result of that. Also, summertime, it's peak water use here.
Yeah.
Peak water use time of year, right? For us here in the valley, as well as for the irrigators that are growing our fruits and vegetables, as well as all of that alfalfa and Sudan grass. But that's why you see water levels typically begin to decline during the summer. They stabilize around this time of year, maybe come up just a little bit before the end of the year. But these low lake levels are going to mean we're going to trigger a next level of water shortages, which we'll be able to manage next year.
So how do we manage that? I mean, you guys see what's going on. Mm-hmm. Are you guys concerned about anything? I mean, there's a drought. I know you're answering these questions very, very well, but I feel like the people out there need to be instilled with confidence, right? They don't feel that this thing's going in the right direction. How do you I know you're representing this, but you still feel that there's confidence and that you see progress and you still see us coming out of this thing looking good.
Well, we still have a lot of work to do, not just here locally, but on the river as a whole. But let's bring it local here, since that's kind of what matters to us here at home. First of all we have a 50-year water resource plan. That plan identifies what the projected water demands and population growth are going to be in this valley over the next half century. We get that information from UNLV's Center of Business and Economic Research. We then convert that to a water demand. So we have a 50-year projection on what water demands are expected to be. And then we can pair the necessary resources we have to meet those demands. We take this plan and update it every single year, so we always have a 50-year look ahead. What we have done in this past year is identified we need more conservation. And so that's why we have passed AB 356 that requires non-functional decorative grass to be removed from commercial properties. That's 10% of our water supply right now that goes to irrigating grass that nobody is using to kick a soccer ball, throw a frisbee, or picnic on. Wow. This is grass that is lining our parking lots at our convenience stores, that is, outside the drive-through at the fast food restaurant. Nobody chooses that they're going to go to the dentist or the real estate office for that matter, because of the property's landscape, right? So getting rid of that grass from the commercial sector is gonna save more water than the entire Las Vegas Strip consumes. And they have until the end of 2026 to get rid of that grass. So that's big water savings for us there too. We've also adopted some new development codes. Any new development now is not permitted to have any grass at all. We prohibited grass in commercial development and in front yards in 2004. And now we've taken that a step further to say you can't have grass in the backyard of new development. There's other ground coverings you can use that are water efficient. That's going to help make us more water efficient.
Sorry to interrupt, but is that only commercial or residential as well?
So residential, it's all residential. So this newest ordinance prohibits grass in the backyard of residential.
Wow.
We prohibited grass in commercial in 2004. And that held. But where we are today now, nearly 22 decades later, right? We still have a ton of grass in the commercial sector because the commercial sector has been lagging far behind in the residential sector in replacing that grass. We give $3 a square foot for every piece of grass that gets replaced with water efficient drip irrigated landscaping. And residents, they've soaked that up. In fact, we've removed more than 200 million square feet of grass, enough grass to stretch a strip of sod all the way around the circumference of the earth.
What
It
the
saves
hell?
10 billion gallons a year.
What did you say?
10 billion gallons.
10 billion gallons a year is saved simply because residents over the past 20 years have removed more than 200 million square feet of grass. There is still upwards of more than 3,000 acres of decorative grass in the commercial sector. And that's why they have 5 years to get rid of that grass.
That's intense.
Dude, I'll tell
So
you
that's
this.
big water savings for us.
I was driving yesterday, and I saw these drops hit my windshield, and I was like, "What is this?
What is this?
What is this?" Like,
water.
I remember you. Like, I was like, "Dude, Drought.
It's an old friend.
It's an old friend." Like, I was like, "Wait, I remember this." So the drought is real, right? People know that it's not raining here in Las Vegas. It's not raining a lot anywhere.
Rained yesterday for like 30 minutes.
That's what I'm
That was
saying.
a lot.
Yeah, it was like a shocking feeling to me. Like I was driving and I didn't know. So do you see that changing, or do you see that the drought's going to continue to be a problem? Because where's the rain, right? Where do we replenish?
It's coming.
Yeah. So for us, when we look at our water supply, the drought is all about Colorado Rockies. It's all about snowpack in the Rockies because that's the origin of the flows of the Colorado River. When we get rain in southern Nevada, even if every drop of that water made its way into Lake Mead and we had a downpour, you are really talking about hundredths of an inch in increased Lake Mead elevation. Lake Mead is, more than 200 square miles. It is still a very large body of water. Our biggest water savings when it rains is when everyone goes out and turns off their irrigation clock for a few days. Don't water your landscape for a few days. That saves tens of millions of gallons every single day that we all turn off our irrigation systems when it rains. That's where the
plants
water
will
savings.
die.
Just
It's so
the
high.
little things.
It's the little things,
The
yeah.
little things.
I'm
that add up.
confident though, and we've already gone through 10 ice ages. Another one's got to be coming soon. Like I'm pretty confident more snow is coming. You just got to hold out.
El Nino.
The question is, will
Don't
Lake
even
Mead
mention
hold out?
that. Oh my god.
Maybe.
That's what I want to ask. And you can ask. Do you have a question to ask at all?
No, he answered my question.
Okay,
right
so well, that's good. Nice work.
He's like the Shaolin master of water over here.
The question I had though is like, we see Lake Mead really drying up. What do you see from here? Like, do you feel like this thing's just going to keep going that direction where we're not going to? I mean, is Lake Mead going to just be gone in, like, let's say the next 10 years?
So let's talk a little bit about Lake Mead, right? So we have seen Lake Mead drop about 170 feet over the past 20
That's a lot.
years.
That is a lot.
Wild.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's been escalated over the past 6 months.
Yeah.
It's like 10
Yes, it
feet
has.
every 30 days.
Yes,
seems.
it has. So we have seen a pretty rapid decline just within the past 18 months in Lake Mead. Part of that's because they've been holding water back in Lake Powell. But some of the other implications there, continuing to see the same demands that we have seen on the lake, right? So let's just talk for a moment. So Lake Mead dropped 150 feet or 170 feet over the past 20 years. We saw this coming 2 decades ago and started a process of constructing a new intake into Lake Mead so that we could secure access to our water supply. We built a 3-mile long tunnel underneath the lake, connected to an intake that sticks up from the bottom of the lake.
Wow.
That gives us the ability now to draw water from the bottom. We just completed in 2020 the low lake level pumping station. It is the engine that will drive that deep water intake. And that low lake level pumping station was a $650 million investment that this community paid for. No federal dollars, no state dollars. You as water rate payers paid for this. And it's because, obviously, $650 million bucks, big ticket item. And we actually hoped that we would never have to turn it on. But lake levels dropped to a point in early April where our first intake, installed in the 1970s, began to peak out above the water line. And at that point, that intake was rendered inoperable and the pumping station associated with it. So we turned on the low lake level pumping station. So it was a seamless transition. We were able to keep the community in water. The low lake level pumping station and intake number 3 secure our access to our water supply, even if Lake Mead falls to elevation 900. It's in the 1040s right now, so 1,040 feet or so right now. Lake Mead falls to elevation 900. That means no water passes through Hoover Dam. When no water is passing through Hoover Dam, there's no power generation at Hoover, and there's no downstream deliveries to Arizona, Mexico, or California.
So we're not going to have power.
We'll have like blackouts.
I don't know necessarily what the implications are from a power perspective because I'm more on the water side.
That's crazy.
But what I can tell you from
Scary.
the water side is that intake 3 in the low lake level pumping station, should we reach elevation 900, would still have about 20 feet of water covered across the top of it. Stills allow us access to the water.
But if we've dropped 170 feet,
170 feet,
70 feet, and how many? Like,
20 years.
Let's go back in the past because this is like it's all been making news in the past 30, 45 days. Really, everything's been in the news, right? You have these guys on YouTube showing the lake levels are out there fishing.
Finding a bunch of bodies and all
all
kinds
the
of
bodies
stuff.
in the barrels, and then you see these images, right? So it seems like it's really just making its way to the mainstream, and people are focused on it, right? Yep. So what's the reduction in the lake in the past 45 days? 60 days, 90 days. How many feet?
I'd have to go back and take a look at what the historic trend or what the actuals have been, but I'm going to say it's probably close to 20 feet.
I'm fascinated by the tunnels still under the lake. I know a bunch of guys who dig tunnels, but they're from like other countries to here, but for other reasons, not for water. But
That really happens?
I don't know. I've heard.
Wow.
So there's this whole tunnel system under the lake who did this? We did this?
The Southern Nevada Water Authority put out a contract and brought in a company capable of being able to do this. It primarily consisted of miners and local laborers here in Las Vegas.
Like minors under 18?
Okay, show's over.
I appreciate the clarifying question. These are guys like that live underground and work underground, miners, ER. But they used the tunnel boring machine. So they used this very large tunneling machine in order to excavate. It moved at about 8 feet at a time. And as it moved each 8 feet, it then constructed a concrete ring behind it, made its way 3 miles out underneath
the lake.
Underneath
no
Lake
fear
Mead.
of this thing just caving in and flooding.
So it
That's crazy.
encountered the highest pressures of any tunneling project or activity ever tried. It was a high risk project. It was a successful project, and we're glad that we did it because it's securing our access to the water supply that we have.
They hit it on the nose too, right? Because
They had
to drill down and then they had to meet it. And they hit it right on the point, right?
Very, very close, right? So they dropped an intake structure down on the bottom of Lake Mead and embedded it in concrete. And there it sat for about 2 years underneath Lake Mead. And then the tunnel boring machine made the 3 mile long drive to connect to that intake. And to your point, they were millimeters vertically and millimeters horizontally off from being dead center. Millimeters.
Wow.
I feel like I just earned my master's degree right now in like water.
So, and there is a documentary on our YouTube page, SNWA. Go to our YouTube page. You can see it there. Go to our website, snwa.com, intake number 3, and you can watch the documentary there.
That should be on like Modern Marvels.
It was pretty close. I mean, we documented it for that reason. It actually did get some pretty good press, and that's also been played on PBS and around the entire nation. So,
Sounds more interesting than that Oak Island show.
So let's say this. So you guys have questions for him? I mean, Esmeralda, do you have any questions for him about
I have a
people
question.
that talking to you about what's happening here?
Well,
Water question, go.
I mean, the water question was kind of what Dan said, that people were concerned. So in my community where I live, there's obviously a lot of plants and flowers and things like that. And I know you said there is, if you change it into desert landscaping, they help you with the cost and whatnot. So what if you don't want to get rid of the grass?
Move to California. There's plenty of
No, I mean,
grass.
is there like some kind of, is there some kind of like, I don't know.
Fine.
Yeah.
So in the residential sector, you can certainly have grass. We just ask that if you have that grass that you're using it, that it's just not purely aesthetic, decorative, ornamental grass that you're looking at because, hey, the front lawn is the American dream to a large extent. So we do encourage replacement of that grass with drip irrigated trees and plants. You can do Mediterranean style as long as it's drip irrigated. You can have a lush landscape with drip irrigation. Here's one thing to keep in mind. Gotta do the math here real quick. 73 gallons of water per square foot per year.
Oh, wow.
73 gallons of water. You're like, so what, right?
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's 10 feet tall. A single square foot of grass with 73 gallons on it is 10 feet. So across every patch of grass in this valley, we apply the equivalent of 10 feet of water. That's a swimming pool with a diving board on it.
Oh, sweet.
That's the height of an NBA basketball hoop, 10 feet, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how much water we do. Drip irrigated trees and plants, it's about 18 gallons of water per year per square foot. That's less than 3 feet. So big water savings going from grass that you're just staring at and looking at because it's green, going to trees and plants. The other thing, we also hear people say, yeah, but grass is, carbon neutral. It helps to clean the environment. No, not in Southern Nevada.
Yeah, not your 4 square feet.
Yeah, not when you consider how much energy it takes to move that water to your sprinkler system. Not when you consider, the emissions of that lawnmower that is getting pushed across it.
Who wants to do that?
Who wants to do that?
I did
We
that
hire
growing
people to
up
do
in
that.
Florida.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
I'm out.
Well, you
I
have
see my
parks.
beautiful, manicured artificial turf. It's
AstroTurf is the
beautiful.
best. It
Love
stays
it.
green,
Yeah.
zero maintenance. Oh, it's
Exactly.
perfect.
That's my backyard. Same thing.
There you go.
Love
It looks better.
Love it. So for folks in a residential sector who don't want to take out their grass, okay. But here's the issue. Water rates are only going to go in one direction, and so ultimately you are going to be making a financial decision as to whether or not it is still worth the cost of paying a higher water bill year over year over year in order to keep and maintain that grass. When you can get rid of it, you can save some water and you can lower your water bill.
Sweet. So if you have grass in Las Vegas, Nevada, then you're the problem.
Grass.
That's my opinion.
He said it. So you're gonna get egged. Your house is gonna get egged. If you have grass in the front of your yard, was it the front, right?
Front. Yeah.
You're getting egged.
You're the
How
reason
many
Lake
eggs?
Mead is empty.
Right.
Eggs are expensive. Hold on. Eggs are expensive. It's going up. Inflation.
Well, what
you might
about
get one egg.
So what about like parks and soccer
Yeah.
fields and things like that? Is there a plan for that?
Are they using gray water? Or is
So-
it recycled water or what's happening?
No, not necessarily recycled water. We have determined that parks, that cemeteries, and other public uses, schools, where there is grass, that provides a community recreational use. It provides a community benefit. So parks do have to adhere to watering schedules. They get a little more flexibility in their watering schedule because there's so much grass that they do have to irrigate, and they also have to irrigate around the activities and things that might be taking place at the park. But parks, schools, cemeteries, all still considered okay to have grass. But we do have an incentive, and a lot of parks have taken it up, of converting from warm season grasses to cool season grasses. And all that simply means is that grass isn't going to be green year round. In the wintertime, it's going to go dormant. And so it's going to brown out. It's less water that they have to then apply to it in the wintertime, but once spring comes in, that green starts to come back. And so we do have a program for that, for those large turf irrigators. And then new parks being developed, we have a program to help new parks make some decisions about artificial turf, providing them some incentive to utilize artificial turf where that makes sense.
I feel that cemeteries are probably the biggest wasted place you would have grass. I've literally never played a sport in a cemetery.
Never played a sport there.
I've never
You've
played
never thrown
soccer.
a football.
Hey, you never played
Around
hide and
cemetery?
You never played hide and seek in the
In the
cemetery?
cemetery? No.
Halloween,
Why is
bro.
there grass
Just like
there?
if you make it out, you make it out.
That sounds scary.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I've noticed that in the cemeteries, the grass is dead. It's not very
Just
green.
like the
And it
people.
depends on which cemetery you go to. I mean, people do still go to the cemeteries, obviously, to be able to visit, deceased loved ones and what have you. Cemeteries also have a whole lot of shade. If you go to these cemeteries, there's a lot of trees that helps to shade, provide shade canopy. But it is considered a functional use of grass. So, in that instance, they are permitted to have it. Now, here's one thing to keep in mind. Gallons per capita per day. How much water we all use per person per day. Right now, everybody in this room uses 110 gallons per person per day. And you're going to tell me you don't.
I take 3 showers a day, and I do excessive water stuff. But you said in the house it's recycled, right?
In the house, it's recycled,
Oh,
right.
thank God.
So
I'm
you're good.
helping. I'm good. I'm
So
not
in the
wasting
house,
water.
it's recycled. right?
Everything in the house is
Everything.
recycled unless you're on a septic system. If you're on a septic system, then that water is going into your septic, and we have a program to convert people off of septics onto the centralized wastewater system. 110 gallons per person per day is what we use. We've been shown that we've been able to reduce that gallons per capita per day metric, and if we can get that down to our goal of 86 gallons per person per day by 2035, we demonstrate that in our resource plan that we can continue to meet our community's water demands and water needs primarily through our Colorado River water supplies.
How do we do that?
Well, I want to know so if you have a septic tank, what is that program?
So if you have a septic and you are interested in converting
Yeah.
over to a centralized wastewater system, it's really a couple of things. Most people who are on a septic system have a groundwater well. So they're not using Colorado River water. They're not using water delivered by a municipality. They're just pulling that water out, using it, and then it's going into the septic, and then it's leaching out into their yard. But there are some properties that have a municipal service connection, so a water district or a city of Henderson or a North Las Vegas connection, and they are using Colorado River water, but they still have a septic. Those are our highest and most desirable targets to shift onto the centralized wastewater system so that we can begin to reclaim that water back. Because every gallon we reclaim back allows us to take another gallon out and bring it into the valley as treated drinking water. So
Okay.
that is key. If you want more information on that septic system, septic conversion program, you can visit snwa.com. You can hit us on the contact us form. It's kind of there's about 14,000 septic systems that are in the valley and an even smaller number of those that are connected to municipal systems. So we've been doing some outreach specifically to those properties.
Yeah, my sister has a septic tank in her community in her cul-de-sac. So, and I
And
remember
so
that
she's
was
probably on a community well if she's got
Yeah.
sort of a community septic system. And so that's the kind of situation where they'll be able to continue to use that groundwater well, but should that well fail and there's municipal water service nearby, they may be required to hook up to the municipal water system, and then at that point they'd be required to hook up to the sanitary sewer system as well.
So let's get into a couple of questions. You guys have any more questions for him real quick?
I do. I have
Okay,
one.
go ahead.
So, talk to us about the aquifer, because I heard that we actually have a substantial amount of water running through Las Vegas. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do. The aquifer beneath our feet is a very, very healthy aquifer. Back in the 1960s, 1970s, it wasn't so healthy because that was the primary source of water for the valley. In fact, when the Colorado River was negotiated, groundwater was our sole source of water. It powered everything that we had here. But it got overdrawn, it got over allocated, and we began to see significant reductions in the aquifer system. So fast forward, we're using Colorado River water, less demand on the aquifer system. We begin to inject or store water in our groundwater bank here, injecting water directly into the aquifer, bringing that aquifer level up, but also storing that Colorado River water for our future use. We've got about a year's supply of water that we have stored within the aquifer. Again, it's keeping it healthy, it's keeping it up, it's keeping it accessible to those who are groundwater users, and there is a substantial amount of water that is in there. Now, we only utilize a small amount for municipal purposes on a yearly basis. But yeah, we've got about a year's supply that is stored there. We've also got water stored in Arizona, in California, and in Lake Mead as well. The equivalent of 8 years of water stored in reserves for our future use.
Wow. A good thing I'm leaving Vegas in less than a year.
Wow. You think there's going to be an issue? For you sound concerned.
No, I'm not usually concerned. I can drive to the gas station and buy water. I'm not really concerned about that. No, I know overall it will be. It'll be a huge problem. I'm sure it will be. Otherwise, we wouldn't see these levels dropping. Like, this is a natural thing. This isn't something someone's controlling, right? Like the water levels that are dropping are due to like evaporation and things like the water soaking into the ground and
climate change,
there you go.
demands, all of those kinds of things. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that we are right now under a shortage declaration on the Colorado River.
What is that?
That declaration was made this year. We are legally entitled, as I said, to 300,000 acre feet.
Okay.
And in 2007, all of the states got together and they created the operating guidelines for how the Colorado River would function. And within that, they outlined that should Lake Mead drop to specific lake elevations, that Arizona and Nevada and the country of Mexico would be taking shortage reductions. In other words, their legal entitlement to how much water they could take would be reduced. We used the smallest amount of water on the river, so we actually took the smallest reductions. Our 300,000 acre feet this year was reduced to 279. Next year, it's likely to be reduced to 275. That's what we anticipate. We'll know that in August. So 275 is what we're planning for, but last year we used 242,000 acre feet.
And more people are moving here and they're using more water, so that's a problem, right?
Well, actually, we've shown just the reverse, that
Really?
we can grow this community, we can grow this population and reduce demand. We have added 750,000 people since 2002, but
Yeah.
we've reduced our consumption of Colorado River water by 26%. This is the value of conservation to keep us having a vibrant and growing economy.
How is that
Something that helps
possible?
everybody in this room.
How did more people move here and we're using less water? I guess I don't get that. How
So
does that work?
it's a mosaic approach. One, taking out that grass. That 2 million square feet of grass, 10 billion gallons of water that gets saved a year, that one is big. The ordinances that changed having grass in the front yard of new development, prohibiting grass in commercial developments back in 2004, that has carried on and carried forward to continually show water savings. In other words, if you move to this valley, after the drought was declared in 2002 and all of these conservation efforts were implemented in 2004, you were able to do that because of the conservation of everybody who came here before you. Because it's 2002 when we used more than our allocation. We used 325,000 acre feet.
Okay.
Last year we used 242,000 acre feet. So we have shown significant reductions in our water consumption, all while our population has increased, all while our economy has grown. And look, it is important that we all continue to have a vibrant economy. That's why a lot of people move to Las Vegas, right? People move here for
One of the
different
reasons, yeah.
different reasons, but a lot of them become economic reasons, you know, that and the fact that you don't have to, you know, shovel snow in the winter. But those
snap. I'm moving to a place where I'm going to have to do that. I don't want to do that.
You do get a little bit of water out of that
melt
snow, I
it
guess.
down, have water.
Not doing it.
Bam.
Well, I
water.
do have a weird water question. You brought this up earlier, Esmeralda. The lack of water pressure in our home, does that have anything to do with anything that is related to your field?
Everything having to do with the water pressure. Now, I'm not sure where you live, but for just about every water system in southern Nevada, it's gravity fed. So your water pressure is primarily determined by the elevation of your home in relation to the elevation of the reservoir or tank that feeds it.
That's a good question. Okay.
So you can't necessarily increase the water pressure to your home unless you install some type of a pump system or something along those lines. But there are little things that can reduce your pressure over time. Any 90-degree bends that you have in your home plumbing system, the size of your plumbing system, all of that can have an influence.
This guy's like the water master. He like knows everything about water.
Dude, that's why I brought him on. I wanted a wizard.
So I have a question too. So to piggyback off what Ethan said, what I was mentioning to him was that when you buy like the faucets and for like the shower, and it has like a filter that actually prevents the pressure of the water to save gallons with the toilet and also with the shower.
Yeah.
But if you remove the little...
Yeah. So what you're saying there with some of the fixtures, there are aerators or there might be restrictors on
Yes.
there in order to kind of reduce that flow.
Yes.
But
down.
now that he said that the water you use inside of your home doesn't matter, I'm going to be washing my ass all day.
Are you going to just leave the water on and be like, whatever?
Yeah.
It's just
what I do.
it's recycling.
Yeah. And that's
free.
that's one other thing that's really interesting, right? So as our community just boomed in the early 2000s through the mid 2000s, the one thing to keep in mind is that all of the plumbing codes were updated. So all of our new homes that were built here already had some of the highest efficiency fixtures automatically installed in them. There was no grass in the front yards of those homes anymore. And then obviously when you buy that brand new home, as the homeowner, you have the decision as to what you landscape in the backyard.
I don't have grass either, but
Only grass I have.
Thanks for doing your part, Esmeralda.
I did.
Hey, I have one point I just want to touch on because it's all about water conservation. So there's a very important legislation that's passed for was it on September 1st about the size of pool that you can build.
I heard about this recently.
So that's 600 square feet.
Correct.
Right. So what's a typical pool size?
So the average pool size in Southern Nevada is about 470 square feet.
Okay.
So relatively modest size, functionally sized swimming pool, 470 square feet. But we have seen swimming pools built, especially on your more affluent homes, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 square feet. I mean, there's one that's being proposed as of at least a couple of months ago that was 5,000 square feet.
Sweet, I'm going to that guy's house.
You know,
Wow.
I don't know about you. That's
Give us some
like
laps.
3 times the size of my house.
That's crazy.
All open body of water in the middle of the Mojave Desert. Does that make
needs that?
sense? Right.
No, but do you
So-
want
That
it?
sounds cool.
So all of the homes that are under construction now or projected in Escaya, McDonald Highlands, McDonald Ranch, the Summit Club.
You bet.
So they're all going to be reduced down to 600 square feet.
Any pool that doesn't have its permit pulled by September 1st would be required to meet the 600 square foot limit.
Wow.
And that really, at least as of right now, that's been adopted by the Las Vegas Valley Water District. The Southern Nevada Water Authority passed a resolution showing their support for that as well. It's going to continue to move on to the other municipalities, ultimately to be embedded into code. Now, what is 600 square feet? 600 square feet, if you think about average size of a 3-car garage, that's
like a
going to
hotel
get you,
room.
that's going to get you pretty close to 600 square feet.
So keep it shallow and you can have a bigger pool to entertain.
It doesn't matter the depth.
Oh, nuts.
And actually, if you go deeper, you actually have the potential to keep that water cooler, which may or may not be a benefit to you as a user, but it does help a little bit with evaporation reduction. But here's the reason that we did this. We were seeing a proliferation of these large, extravagant swimming pools that were being built. And some of these homes aren't even occupied year round. So it was the type of thing where we're looking at it and we can save over a 10-year period about 32 million gallons of water simply by preventing large swimming pools from being installed when 600 square feet still gives you a large swimming pool and is much larger than the average sized swimming pool that we have here in Southern Nevada. So while I have heard people say 600 square feet just isn't enough to recreate in, I would say really, because the vast majority of Southern Nevadans that have a swimming pool think 470 square feet is plenty of area to
It's
recreate.
America. We want everything big.
America.
Everything's got to be massive.
I just want everybody out there. We got 5 likes. I need to get at least 20. I'm going to be pulling IP
liking
addresses
me.
off computers to find out who didn't hit that like button. So you guys need to hit that like button. Please hit the like button. We love everybody out there. Thank you for watching. So you guys have anything else to say to him? Because we're going to get into these questions here. And there's-
questions?
Let's get into the questions.
Yeah, let's get into the questions.
And you guys have really allowed me to elaborate and expand, and I really appreciate you giving me the space to do
I love
that.
the knowledge.
I'm now water smart.
He's got a
My
PhD in
my
water
man,
over
water
here.
smart.
Dude, that's like the slogan.
You
You
do
got
that.
to get a shirt that says that.
I know.
I'm water smart.
I will try my best.
AEY.
Well, he's
All right,
drinking
so
beer and saving water.
Let's
so.
get into the first
right.
one here. All right, so the first question we have is going to the top. We have running at altitude. Well, you said, "What's up, everybody?" Let's go to Beth. Beth, can you list the states and their percentage of water authorized annually?
No.
Authorizes annually. Can you list the water?
It's a lot of states.
The list of states and their percentage of water authorized annually.
So there are 7 states that share the Colorado River. I can't necessarily go through each percentage. I would need a little cheat sheet to be able to do that. But here's what I can tell you. It is really split into 2 basins. The upper basin states, Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, and New Mexico. They have a legal entitlement to, it's on the order of about 7.5 or so million acre feet. The lower basin states, Arizona, California, and Nevada combined, we have a legal entitlement to about 7.5 million gallons of water, right? So it's a kind of an even split between the upper and the lower basin. Wow. Combined right now, the demands on the entire Colorado River are somewhere around 14 million acre feet, right? So everybody's not using their full legal entitlement, including us. But that said, the actual flows of the Colorado River, what Mother Nature has been providing in the river system, on average over the past 10 or so years has been closer to about 12 million acre feet. So there is more demand right now on the Colorado River than there is water being provided by Mother Nature. And if you talk to the climatologists, they tell us that we need to be preparing for something that might be closer to a 9 million acre foot a year flow in that river system.
So didn't the upper basin states meet recently? And
they did.
And they allocated more downflow?
Well, what happened is in early June, the federal government said, look, Colorado River states, we need to cut another 2 to 4 million acre feet of water. That's more than a third of what the demand is right now. We need to cut another 2 to 4 million acre feet of water in 2023. Get together and figure out how to do that. So the states have been working together on that. The Upper Basin did come out with at least a 5-point plan and sent a letter to the Bureau of Reclamation associated with that. The conversations are still ongoing amongst the states on exactly how to achieve that 2 to 4 million acre feet of additional reductions. And that all needs to get across the finish line by about mid-August or so, or else the federal government has indicated they will come in and take unilateral action. So
let's get into the next question. That's a good question there, Beth. So let's get into here. Running at Altitude has a question. Water pipeline from Mississippi River. So it's a question mark. Can you explain a little bit more on that?
Yeah, this is one that's been floated around now for almost 2 decades when the drought started. And the theory here is, hey, let's build a pipeline from the Mississippi, either to convey Mississippi River water, which, in many respects is already being used or allocated, although a good chunk of it does reach the Gulf of Mexico, or build catch basins so that when the Mississippi overflows, that water flows into those catch basins and then can be conveyed through a pipeline over to the Colorado River system. There are some challenges associated with that, not only regulatory challenges, engineering challenges associated with that. Keep in mind, Southern Nevada Water Authority looked to build a 300-mile pipeline all within the state of Nevada in order to use unused, unallocated groundwater within the state. That was met with considerable opposition, especially from the environmental community. And ultimately, it lost in court. So now imagine trying to build a pipeline across multiple state lines in order to bring water into the Colorado River system. It's one of those ideas that is floated around a lot, but I don't think that it has a whole lot of opportunity to come to fruition.
Why would it lose in court? Like,
Wait, what? The feds don't want you to have anything.
If you're going like in Nevada, like in the middle of nowhere, and you're trying to pump water from the aquifer, like why would the environmentalists want to get in the way of that? Like, what are they? Are there like desert lizards that are going to go extinct? Like, what's the repercussions?
We need water to survive, right?
Right.
Well, they had quite a few different arguments. A lot of it had to do with the fact that the groundwater system within those areas already have dependent ecological needs. So there were a lot of different arguments that were raised. There was also concern that you could overpump the aquifer, which is called water mining, basically taking out more water than actually is recharged with precipitation, although Nevada law doesn't allow you to do that. And we made that case in court. So there were just a lot of different factors that ultimately won out in district court, not federal court, just for clarification. It was all district court right here within the state of Nevada. So, look, as it is, conservation continues to be our number one and best resource. We still have a lot of opportunity to continue to conserve our consumptive uses of water, that water we use outdoors, evaporative cooling, pools, landscaping, all of those kinds of uses. We still have a whole lot of headroom there to make us as water efficient as we need to be. We're already one of the most water efficient communities in the nation, but we need to be the most water efficient.
So California, actually, they had, for desalinization, that was up for vote just recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, Orange County.
Yeah, and it got struck down, right?
Got struck down.
Environmentalists.
California Coastal Commission.
Damn hippies.
So there's been
No water for you.
So mean.
and California has obviously been successful in building some desal plants. There's one in Carlsbad, California, the Poseidon. It's right there, one of my favorite spots in Carlsbad. There was a proposal for a desal plant within Orange County. That got shot down by the California Coastal Commission. A lot of it has to do with concern for marine life, potential implications of brine disposal. Obviously, all of those things can be overcome because we see desalination not only work in the United States, but we see desal work throughout the entire world, Israel, Saudi Arabia, what have you. Yeah. So, desal, obviously, huge potential there. We've had some conversations a number of years ago with the country of Mexico about partnering on a desal plant. We unfortunately don't have coastline here, so we need to have a willing partner to be able to do that. And the way that we envision desal working is with that partner, investing in a desal plant, constructing that desal plant. The water that is produced from that desal plant would be used locally, wherever that desal plant is, and in return, we would take a like share of water from that country or that state's Colorado River allocation.
Yeah, how big of an impact, if we did come into an agreement with like Mexico, how big of an impact would that have on Lake Mead?
It really kind of depends on how big that desal plant is going to be. I mean, you have to keep in mind, not to get super technical here, but Mexico actually has the highest water rights on the Colorado River system. I mean,
Really?
Yeah, because that is a national treaty between the country of the United States and the country of Mexico that determines that Mexico is entitled to 1.5 million acre feet. A portion of that water comes from the lower basin allocation. A portion of that water comes from the upper basin allocation. So California is kind of next in line as being the senior water right holder. And a lot of that goes back to the fact that when California and Arizona were fighting it out in court decades ago, basically Arizona lost, Arizona was looking to build the Central Arizona Project. They wanted to move Colorado River water down to Phoenix and down to Tucson. In order to do that, they needed federal funding. In order to get that federal funding, California's representatives in Congress basically said, we'll support you, but you need to make your water rights junior to our water rights. So if there is ever a shortage on the river, as outlined in the Colorado River Compact, you guys are going to take our shortage. And sure enough, they agreed to that. They got the federal funding. They built the Central Arizona Project. That's a big chunk of Phoenix water. That's a big chunk of Tucson water. But now here we are at a point where we are under a shortage condition. So Arizona is taking more than 500,000 acre feet of shortages right now. This year, their shortage is going to increase next year. That is Arizona's share of shortage as well as California's share of shortage. Now, California will begin to take shortages should Lake Mead fall to a little further down. It's about elevation, I want to say it's about 1040, where they would end up starting to take those shortages.
And we're almost there.
We're almost there. And they actually take larger shortages in shorter increments of lake elevation as it goes down.
Let's get into some of these questions because I want to get through this, and we got to talk a little bit of real estate here with Joey, and then also want to talk with Ethan over here. So the other question I have here is, this is from Jill Ski 9. Thanks for watching. Why doesn't California do more destination? I'm not sure what that means. What is more destination?
Probably desalination.
Is that what it says?
That's probably.
Oh, it says desalination.
That's probably
my
where
fault.
that question's
I thought I
going.
said destination. Desalination. That's my fault.
And a lot of it has to do with.
My eyes are bad.
A lot of it has to do with their permitting and their ability to get it permitted. And the California Coastal Commission, and I certainly don't speak for California or the California Coastal Commission, but my understanding is they have not been in favor of desal. So, and I don't know the intricacies of why they have been denying permits for
desalination. And it was funny, Joey just brought that up too, about desalination. So
actually, real quick, here's what we are doing with California is we are making an investment with them, with Los Angeles, to build a large-scale water recycling facility. Right now, majority of California, especially in the LA area, their wastewater, like we reuse here by sending it back to Lake Mead after going through treatment, theirs goes out to the ocean. They're going to repurpose that, treat it to a higher standard, bring it across their valley and inject it into their aquifer where they can recover it again. We're going to be a financial partner in that. We've already made the first investment in the environmental assessment component. For our partnership, we're going to get a share of that water. But rather than pipe and pump that water from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, we will just swap it for a like amount of California's Colorado River water, which we can access out of intake number 3 in the low lake level pumping station.
Seems cleaner.
Seems a little cleaner. It's a little cleaner. It's a little cheaper.
Something.
All right, I increased the size here, so that's always a good thing.
That's what she said.
So anyways, let me take a look here. So we got Beth says, what is the indoor water allocation for a single family home? Is it based on the actual number of people living in the home or an assumption of, say, 4 people per household?
So there really isn't an allocation right now that we have per homes, right? You have a metered water use that you can use. The more you use, the more you pay for that water because it is a tiered rate structure. So there isn't necessarily an allocation for indoor versus outdoor, but it's about 40% of your indoor, 40% of all of our water use is indoor. But as far as an allocation goes, we don't necessarily have that kind of structure set up.
Cool. All right, so let's go to the next one here. And we're trying to hit everybody, so hopefully you guys give us a little patience on this. I'm going to jump to Robert Mitchell said, require solar panels be installed on a new construction and to offer incentives for, what is this, retrofitting? Retrofitting unites with solar.
Dude, that is totally a great question to have NV Energy with. I mean, it is. Look, I'm a proponent of solar. You know, we actually utilize quite a bit of solar in order to pump and treat the water that gets delivered throughout the valley. There are certainly a lot of small solar installations, rooftop solar that we see in town, but there's also been a lot of controversy with that over the years. So I'm a proponent of solar and certainly would support further efforts of solar, just me personally.
Nice. And then let's see what else we got. I think Verstar. We got to get Verstar in here, man. I mean, Ver's always on the show, and let's get a good one for Ver. I call him Ver, but it's actually Ver. I don't know. What do you call him, Joey? You call him Ver? Yeah. I don't know why I call him Ver all the time. So I want to jump to also Cameron here, but let's see here. So let's see what Ver has to say here. I want to see if he has a good question here. Let's just do this one. How about what is this? Aridification? It seems most inevitable. Hopefully not in our lifetime. Aridification.
Yes.
Explain what that is, because I think a lot of people really don't even know what that is.
So aridification is kind of an emerging term, especially amongst the climate scientists. What it really means is a warming and drying of the future. It is becoming more arid. Keep in mind, we right now live in the most arid city, although it may not feel like it today with the
I thought Arizona was, no?
No, we are the most arid city and the most arid state in the United States, right here in this valley.
Number one.
Dude, does Arizona have the same water issues, you would think, right, as Las Vegas? I mean, are they going through the same problems?
Well, certainly they are from a Colorado River perspective,
right,
since that provides a good share of the water. They also have a whole lot of groundwater resources that they utilize in Arizona and other in-state surface water that allows them a little larger portfolio of water supply than necessarily we have here in Southern Nevada. But the aridification is something that we're hearing more and more about. We believe that we are absolutely experiencing aridification. It is a result of ongoing climate change. What that really means is that we can expect to continue to see less snowpack, less precipitation here in the West, while at the same time having years where we probably will get hit pretty hard. There will probably be heavy precipitation and heavy snowpack some years where we will end up in flooding conditions. You know, that's the kind of thing that can help recharge the reservoirs, but it's not something that you can necessarily count on year after year, which is why conservation remains so important, because that's how we manage our demands.
All right, let's jump to Francois. I think that's how you say his name, Francois. Has a question here. Also, well, let's jump to Cameron. I didn't want to jump over Cameron. Cameron said, if we've been losing 10 feet of water a month for the past 2 months and there's only 140 feet left until the deep pool status, dead pool status at Lake Mead, doesn't that only give us 14 months until we're there? What then?
No, it really doesn't. I mean, I can certainly understand the calculation that is taking place there, but let's keep in mind a couple of things. One, right now, water levels have basically stabilized because demands downstream have stabilized a little bit as the growing season has begun to taper off within the agricultural community. On top of that, Once we hit September, October timeframe, that's certainly when we start to see more snow begin to fall within the Rockies. Water demands across the entire basin begin to reduce at that point. So these reductions in water levels that we've seen pretty rapidly over the past couple of months, a lot of that, keep in mind that is during peak water use year, peak water use time, while also 500,000 acre feet staying up in Lake Powell.
But if we do get to dead pool, like the lower basins are screwed.
If we get to Deadpool,
we're cool.
If we get to Deadpool, we're cool. Yeah, if we get to Deadpool, we're cool. But 98% of that water that would be going downstream for Arizona, California, and Mexico would not be able to physically get past Hoover Dam.
Well, you guys are screwed.
Then we have blackouts.
Exactly.
Get solar. Get solar.
Oh, man.
Get solar.
Let's go to here. What else do we got here? Veristar said destroy the like button. Excellent. Tim said, I didn't want to say that. Hey, David Ramirez. Is that David Ramirez? David R702? Is that David R? He said, how much well water do we have under the city?
Well, our allocation that we have as a municipality is about 40, I want to say it's about 46,000 acre feet. Again, we get 300,000 acre feet out of Lake Mead. So it's about 46,000 acre feet that we can use for municipal supplies. But then on top of that, you're talking about, thousands of wells in the valley that are going to be pulling out, somewhere between an acre foot, 2 acre feet each in order to meet their demands. So, I'd have to actually refer that one to the state, but I can at least tell you that from a municipal standpoint, it's about 46,000 acre feet.
Sweet. So Tim has a really good point here. He says, save water and drink tequila.
Well, isn't tequila made with water?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's made in Mexico.
Wait a second. Is it?
It kind of depends on what the water source is. Depends on what
Well, it
the water
depends on how
source
you
is.
make it. Mine doesn't have any water in it. It's just straight alcohol.
It's crazy.
Just
Pure gasoline.
Anybody else got any questions out here for Mr. Bronson Mack here? He's come all the way out from Las Vegas to be here today.
All the way up the 215.
All the way up here, about 10 minutes of driving. Traffic,
Long
maybe
way.
15 minutes. You guys have any other questions for him? So I just want to say, you guys out there, thank you. Also, thank you, Bronson, for coming on, educating
Thanks for having me.
everybody. And is there any, real quick, I know we're going to have your information. Is there anybody that would want to know how to get a hold of you? You have you said a YouTube channel, you have like a podcast. Like, what do you do?
We got lots of good stuff. So we've got snwa.com, Southern Nevada Water Authority. That's really a great spot for conservation information, general water resource information. We also have the Las Vegas Valley Water District website, or whoever your water provider is, City of Henderson, City of North Las Vegas, good information there. Check out the Water Smarts podcast, Water Smarts. You can find it on all of the different podcast apps. Right now, actually, we are hosting and playing the roundtable discussion with the Southern Nevada Water Authority's executive team, going through some of these harder questions. A lot of the conversation that we've had here, you can hear it directly from the leadership of the Southern Nevada Water Authority. That's also available on our YouTube page, SNWA. You can just search Southern Nevada Water Authority or SNWA on YouTube if you want a visual to that. 3 great ways to go. Obviously, Facebook, Twitter, Southern Nevada Water Authority. Keeping that information out there. One more thing, just to make sure everyone knows.
It's your world right now.
If you're a homeowner in Southern Nevada, you need to make sure that you are following the seasonal watering restrictions. Every season, we require homeowners to go out to that garage or wherever your irrigation clock is and change the settings on your irrigation clock. Right now, we're in summer, so there's no watering between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. It's the hottest time of the day, so it's not doing your landscape any good to water during that time period. So water after sunset or before sunrise, and no watering on Sundays. But come September 1st, we go to 3 days a week. And when you make that change and you go to 3 days a week, if everybody can make that change and we go to 3 days a week, we will save tens of millions of gallons of water. And if everybody follows the watering restrictions, 3 days a week in the fall and in the spring, 1 day a week in the winter, we will save more water than is being cut under the shortage conditions on the Colorado River.
That's incredible.
So our future is in our hands. Cut your outdoor water use. follow the watering restrictions. Just follow the rules. Just follow the rules.
He said, "Follow the rules."
If you just follow
no
the
one does
rules.
that.
Dude, the way he
That's
said that,
crazy.
you guys remember that? It's like, the future is now.
Just follow the rules. Yeah, if everybody did that, man, we'd continue to show reductions in water consumption and continue to be able to support a vibrant economy.
And if everyone followed
Love
the
it.
rules, we would not be where we are now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, wait.
Oh,
And we got Mr. Joey over here. Joey,
Yes,
what's
sir.
going on, man, in real estate and in this world right now that everybody knows we're going through a correction maybe here in Las Vegas, or just a slight, I would say, would you say it's a correction right now? Would you say that the prices did a lot of data searching, did a lot of information on home prices, things going on? You talk to me, what's going on out there?
Well, we basically had a little whiplash effect, right? We went from a seller's market, $25,000, $30,000 above appraised value, waiving contingencies, went from a crazy market, no inventory, like 2,500 homes on the market, and now we're like somewhere teetering around like 7,500 homes on the market. Complete buyer's market. But as you know, I'm primarily a buyer's agent, right? So this is when we thrive, right? This is, people are talking about recession. Oh my God, the market's crashing. The prices are retracting. How low will it go? This is when you get the best deals. This is it. This is the time. So all of my buyers that I've been working with who weren't able to get a house 60, 90 days ago because they were just priced out of the market, now they're getting massive discounts, right? Massive discounts. So we're being very, very competitive or aggressive in our offers. So to give you a perfect example, I had a house that I just put under contract. It was listed for $925. I think the seller purchased it for $945.
Wow.
We offered $800. We got it for $825.
Wow. So that was right in line with some of the stuff that I was looking at, that 800 price range. I would say like 8 to $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you're seeing that softening at? Because that's kind of where
It's all across the board.
Really?
All across the board. So everyone's situation is different, right? It's case by case basis. But we're seeing this not only in the resale market, we're seeing it in new home sales. Because these home builders had massive amounts of cancellations. People just couldn't afford it. When you go into contract, you have to get pre-approved with the builder's lender. So typically they were getting pre-approved for 2.99, 3.25%, waiting 6 months for their home to be built. You can lock your rate 60 days prior, but the rate's gone up to 5.5%.
Ouch.
Their payment's more than doubled or maybe doubled. Can't afford it. Debt to income ratio. They said, hey, I was going to be at 1,900. Now I'm at like 3,500 or 3,000 a month.
Wow.
So now they cancel. So now all the home builders are holding on to that inventory when just 60, 90 days ago, they were saying, hey, look, give us your highest and best. Hey, listen, this is our lot premium is 50,000. How much more will you pay for it? Now they're waiving the lot premiums. They're incentivizing, giving, some home builders are giving up to 6% towards your closing costs. So you can use 3% for your closing costs and another 3% to buy down your rate. And they're slashing prices. I was at a Pulte community in Sky Hills the other day. There was a inventory home listed for $917,000, right? And I want to say maybe 45 days ago, I had a client looking at the same inventory home. It was being built. They would not take an offer. They would not entertain it. That same house is still available, and the sales agent told me, offer in the low 800s, they'll probably take it. And on top of that, they're offering the 6%.
Wow.
So I want everybody out there to understand, if you are looking to buy a home, this is the market you want to buy a home in. It's not, hey, oh my God, the interest rates are 5.5% or 5.75%. There's a recession, the market's going to collapse. No, this is when you make money. It's not when you're fighting tooth and nail amongst 9,000 other buyers and trying to waive appraisal.
Market, man.
It was crazy. But you know what? Everyone's situation is different, right? People had to buy homes, right? They want to take advantage of that low interest rate, and it worked out for a lot of people. But this is the time that you want to buy a home, because you can always refinance that interest rate. You're not married to it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But think about this. You're walking into a community of somebody 60 days ago just closed on it for, let's just say, $500,000, and now you're getting incentivized to purchase this one for maybe $400,000. You're already walking. Now your equity position is massive, because what are the chances of that person at $500,000 moving and selling it for less 2, 3, 4 years down the road?
Yeah.
you're in a better equity position.
Yeah.
It's always good
So-
to walk in equity.
So all of my buyers that I'm working with right now, we are just being totally aggressive and just throwing out crazy offers like the one I just told you. And the house that we just put under contract was a formal model home by TriPoint.
nice.
So it was a resale. They bought it from the developer and then they put it back on the market, and we got an even better deal.
Nice.
So, I mean, you're looking at a lot of the people out there think we're in a recession, and let's just be honest. Like, I'm people say like, hey, we're in a. I think it's the psychological impact that people have on their mind that think that we're in a recession, right? It's because the word hasn't come out from like say government or news as much as people are
They
looking.
just keep changing the name.
Exactly. But they're looking at it going, okay, well, we see that there's declines. We see that the market, or not just the market, but inflation's higher. We also see that people are thinking things are slowing down, yet we don't see unemployment yet. But a lot of people, even though it's not coming out here saying this is recession is starting to head that direction. Do you feel that a lot of buyers out there want to buy, but they're worried that we are headed for a recession?
It really just comes down to education, right? Because everyone can turn on the news and everything is doom and gloom, right? So with all of my clients that I work with, we always sit down. I go over all of the details, what the market's doing, what we're capable of, what we should actually do. I set them up for success, right? So look, we use all of those variables to our advantage, right? So yeah, great. We are in a recession. Do you want to have the highest priced home in the market, or do you want to get rid of it? What's your scenario, right? Do you want to sell, or do you need to sell, right? Most people in this market are like, oh my God. So it's actually reversed, right? Because people had the fear of loss. They were panicking because they didn't think they could get a home that they could afford.
Rates are going up.
Right. Rates are going up. There's no inventory. There's
Right.
2,500 homes in the market. Let's just submit a blind bid. I'll see it during my inspection period, right? Now it's the sellers. They're like freaking out because now we have 7,000, 7,500 homes on the market. They're like, oh my God, if this guy drops the price before me, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Right. So now they're more willing to negotiate. Right. So
it's just you have options now. I think that's what people didn't have before. And you're saying there's the best time to buy is because rates are still high, but you have options, maybe options you didn't have before. So you have buyers out there with all these homes that's on the market. When do you see this market shifting where there's going to be that balance, or do you not see that in the next, let's say, next?
I mean, we have a lot of inventory to absorb, right? So once rates stabilize, and look, 5.75%, is it high? Do you think it's high?
It's all relative.
It's all relative.
I think in the 70s it was a whole lot higher, wasn't
right?
it?
Prices were a little bit less, but again, it's all relative, right? Yeah. So it's whatever you can afford, basically, right? But 5.75, what's that going to push you at? You're going to push at a comfortable,
like $7,000 a month. No, I'm just saying.
But you're looking at like $2,500, $3,000 a month, right? If you go rent a 2-bedroom apartment here in something that's in a newer community, you're gonna be paying $2,500, $2,800 a month.
I agree. And I had this conversation. It's really about if you need to buy a house, it's shelter. You need to buy a house. I mean, it's not really. Yeah, you don't want to buy at the peak. You don't want to buy at higher rates, and I think that's why everybody was doing that. But you get to a point where it's like, well, I got to bypass that because my family needs a place to live. I need a destination, and guess what? It's just like rent. I know people that have rent going up $100, $200 every time that they get renewed. And it's like, what did you start with? Oh, I started with $500, it's up $500 and it's going to continue even in this market, right? I mean, rent follows the housing market for the most part. Yeah. So why not buy a house? I'm not saying go out and buy today and it's the best time. We're not trying to be, but I get your side of it. It's like, you have opportunity now. You have options.
Yeah. So, I mean, going through multiple markets, I've been doing this since early 2005 and being in multiple markets through South Florida and Miami and here in Las Vegas and watching the fluctuations in prices and different scenarios. Mm-hmm. This is, in my experience, the best time to buy because people are in a position to where they are, I wouldn't say the sellers are maybe desperate, but they start getting scared of, oh my God, my house is going to stay on the market for 60, 90 days. It's not going to be sold in 2 days. What if my neighbor sells lower than me? That's going to bring down the comps. Yeah. And it's like, it's catching a falling knife. So people are more willing to help buy down the rates, give closing costs, things like that. And I'm telling you, like 60 days ago, people were like,
Makes
You
sense.
want, wait. You're gonna offer me list price?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good starting point.
Right. It's like it's not even entertain it, right? If
and
you
now
don't
I'm
get
getting a house is $100,000 less.
So
It's
we got questions here, and I just want to like read them real quick here for you. So let's go through them real quick. You got Vera said the government actually did change it up. Instead of the 2 consecutive quarters, they upped it to look at other factors, i.e., moved the goal. What is that? Posts?
The goalpost.
Goalpost. Yeah. Running Altitude said, did he say 5,000 homes now selling for 4,000?
400,000.
I'm sorry, 400,000.
Hey, get closer to the screen.
This is 20% reduction in a few months. He said, wow.
So let me clarify something. First of all, people were listing their houses above market value. Above market value. So we were seeing, based on comps and things that we're selling, 25% above appraised value, right? People were coming in $25,000 above appraised value, driving the prices up. Doesn't mean that the values have gone up that much or retracted when you're making these offers. They're coming back down to where they should be, right? It's not like the market's going even, further down. It's just stabilizing, right? So if you offer me this phone and you're like, hey, I paid $1,100 for it, but you know what? Give me $1,300 for it.
Yeah,
I'm overpaying for it.
Right, absolutely.
Right? But I can go to the store and pay $1,000 for it.
Yeah.
Right. The value's still there. I'm just not overpaying for it.
You're just not. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Let's look at this other one. He said, let me see here. The government actually, no, we just did that one. He said 900,000 selling for 800,000. Okay, that's what Verstar said. So it looks like, for the most part, people are starting to understand that the market's shifted and not everybody's in a market to buy. But there still makes sense to buy if you need to buy. I mean, you guys can attest to this, right? So what would you guys, has people come to you and said, okay, Joey, if, I want to buy today, my family's telling me I shouldn't buy because it's not the right market or the rates are too high. Is there a lot of conversation that way where you have outside family telling you or telling them like, hey, you know what, you need to wait, or you have a lot of investors saying you need to wait? Because I think a lot of people are like, yeah, I want to buy, but then they listen to a lot of people around.
Yeah,
them.
you always have that outside noise.
Always, right?
But I could tell you this, home builders, the position that they're in, we're in July, right? Going into August, they want to get the inventory off their books before the end of the year, right? So they're going to incentivize everybody to move that inventory, because if they have all their cash tied up in standing inventory, they're not going to be exploring new developments. So they're going to try to get all that inventory off the books. As soon as they get that inventory off the books, what happens? Incentives go away.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
but you got to think too, like, what if not just in builders, but like what if people in general keep their house on the market 30, 45, 50 days? That's a long time. So you got to sell your house. Do you feel that those people are unrealistic at this point? Like if you see that house is days on the market, 30, 40, 50 days, are they just overpriced and they're just, they're not with it?
Well, we went from 2 days on the market or a day on the market or no days on the market. As soon as it's listed, there's an offer, right? There's multiple offers. But now, that was when there was 2,500 homes. Now, if we have 7,000, 7,500 homes on the market, there's more opportunity, right? So now as people are more comfortable of seeing, hey, look, this is my affordability. This is what I can do. I still need to buy a house. Is it a great time? Let me see what I can do. And I'm telling you, all of the homes, all the clients that I've put into escrow this month, I have 7 escrows, over $5 million in escrow this month. We've all gotten stellar deals because they trust the process and we go after it. And I don't care. I'm telling them, look, you never know what the seller's situation is. Throw something crazy out there.
Yeah, the worst they can say is no, right?
You might be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And look, the client that I was working with, they fired their real estate agent because she wouldn't submit a low offer.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I said, look, we're going to do this. We're going to do it right. Let's just go for it, right? It was priced at $925. They reduced it to $875, went down to $850. They wanted to submit at $800. The other real estate agent said, no, I don't want to do it. We're in contract at $825.
There you go. It works out sometimes.
Closing in 30 days.
See?
So let's get over here.
It's like, you never know. People just want to sell and move on.
You got to try.
Cameron says, Narada Real Estate Investments said the luxury real estate market median sales price increased while homes greater than 1 million declined. Do you a different market or do you see? I see what he's saying. Do you see a different market based on home value?
I mean, look, recession and interest rates and things like that, they obviously affect different classes, right? So a lot of people that come in, they're like, okay, I'm going to go get 5.75 or 6.5%. Maybe I could just borrow against my assets and I'll have a lower interest rate and just buy the house, or I'll just buy it cash because it makes more sense. You know, so somebody who's buying $1 million, $2 million, $3 million home, like at the house that I just put under contract in Mesa Ridge for 2.5, they're a protected class. You know, both doctors, they make a bunch of money and they're protected opposed to somebody who's going to be $500,000. That makes sense?
Yeah. It's just different though. Like the mindset I see people in today's market is it's more of a necessity, where I felt like the market before was not about necessity. It was about they're just missing out, right? And it's maybe they weren't ready to buy, but they were just like, rates are going up. We better get it while we can. I think it's a different conversation now with people. It's not, yes, it's still, you know, they got to have going and buy and they got to know why and got the pros and cons, but it's just a different conversation where you get what I'm saying? Like before it's like, hey, I'm going to throw everything I can because I don't want to miss out on this deal. I don't want to miss out. Rates are 3%. 3.5%. I got to get into this house, even if it's 20 or 30. Now it's like people are just sitting back and going, man, there's like 7 homes just like this, you know? And you got agents calling others going like, why did you pick this home, not this home, when it's in the same neighborhood? So are you getting that?
Not so much, but again, that just goes back to my point. You're in a power position as a buyer right now in this market.
That's good. That's
You
good.
know?
It's time to buy.
It is, you know, and there's so many options out there right now. What would prevent somebody from submitting 2, 3, 5, 6 offers,
Makes
low
sense.
offers, just to see what they can get? Because you always remember, anytime you buy something or you invest in something, you make money on the buy. You don't make money when you sell it, right?
Yeah.
You got to buy it right. So position yourself well, be aggressive, pick out 4 or 5 homes that you like, throw some crazy offers out there, and you might be pleasantly surprised.
So we've gone a long time. I just want to say, you guys out there, if you're looking for a good realtor, definitely look Joey up. Joey, you got a channel, right?
Yeah.
What's your channel?
Joey Andron.
Wow. I love that.
Creative.
Really creative. Hey, what's my channel? Dan French. French Workbench.
Follow me, subscribe, hit that like button.
Notification. All right, AEY Marketing. Anything happening, buddy? I want to let everybody out there know.
Yeah, it's been a decent couple of weeks. We started working with Output Exotics. If you're in the city, you have an event, you want to rent a Lambo, a Bentley, something nice. They're one of the cheapest ones in the cities. They'll give it to you for a day, 2, a week, whatever. They really don't care. They're just really awesome. So, they're like my favorite exotic rental place right now. So
Nice.
they give me cars free, so I can't really say anything.
Let's ride out.
Dude, my thing is this, man. So AEY Marketing, if you guys are out there, you're looking for somebody to get started, and it's like a whole array of things that you take care of, right?
We're
Like,
just killing it right
You're
now.
killing
I
it.
started doing social media distribution for celebrities and pro athletes. We've recently grown nationwide, so we have an office in California. We have one in Minnesota now. So we're expanding and taking on a lot of nationwide companies. We've recently picked up a med spa called Novu Skin, which they're in Vegas, Denver. They're opening a new one in Texas. So we just recently launched a campaign for them nationwide, and we're doing all their video work and all kinds of stuff. So we're taking on everybody. I've got some things I want to do. I want to bring on some more musicians. There are certain clients I'd prefer to work with, but I'm not going to say no to someone that approaches us and says, "Hey, we're looking to increase our business." I mean, I'm not going to turn someone away.
you guys have any?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go
we
ahead.
recently even had a ventriloquist approach us. He works with Tyler Perry. You guys are familiar with Tyler Perry,
I
right?
love Tyler Perry.
So,
I'm a fan.
The Don Williams Show, this guy is bringing ventriloquism back, kind of like the other 2 major guys. We have like Fader and Dunham and things like that. So they're doing a lot of stuff on the West Coast, and even that area of life that a lot of people don't really think about is still pretty big. So we're taking on clients that are just from left field.
Well, guys, I want to say this. So if you guys are out there looking for somebody for marketing, look my guy up here, Ethan Earhart. He's AEY Marketing. He's on my Instagram channel. He does a lot of different varieties of things to help your business. And I want to see you grow, man. I want to see you just like you come on the French Workbench podcast.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I make so much money now. Like all these people.
I'm not going to say that.
Why, man? Just
because I'm here to just get along, meet new people, and just kind of expand. I'm not going to come on here and say, yeah, man, I just pulled up in a brand new Lambo. I'm making a killing.
Protecting his
Fuck
brand.
everybody.
yeah, man. Like
No, I'm not going to do
That's
that.
what I want for Bronson. I want Bronson to show up in a Lambo and be like, dude.
The guy's
the
name is Bronson. Do you know how badass that is?
I drive a Toyota.
We need the Lambo though.
Do we?
Yeah, we need it. I mean, I want to see
Good with
you.
the Toyota.
You guys need to look up Bronson. We got Joey over here. And I want to say this, guys. Thank you so much for watching the show. We got to end. Bronson, you guys follow Bronson. He's great. I want to say thank you for coming on. It's
Man,
been a
thanks so much for having me.
wealth
Thanks so much
of
for letting me talk
The
through
water
all of this.
master.
You were all wonderful. Great questions. Thank you so much.
Dude, I
Thank
feel
you.
like my brain just like went on fire. Like I was like swelling. That's why I couldn't see and things were just
4 years
happening.
of college
Joey,
right there.
great real estate agent over here. You guys, if you guys are looking for a realtor, definitely look up Joey. And he's got an amazing name for his channel.
And a haircut.
Joey Andron is his channel. So you guys take a look at Joey Andron.
Amazing haircut.
Also,
It is sick.
you can also visit over here Esmeralda. She is at the library of title. I didn't mean the library. The library of titles. What I meant to say.
Word that
You're
properly.
gonna start looking up library.
Not the library you see down. Never mind. Anyways, AEY Marketing over here.
AEYmarketing.com, guys. Check us
Dude,
out.
I love it, man. Thank you guys. So you guys, that the most real and behind the scenes information, financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs, happening here in Las Vegas. We'll see you guys on Saturday. We got a great show for you. Thank you for watching the French Workbench podcast. You can find us here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. to find out all the information on real estate and financing here in Las Vegas. Also, check us out on our LV Home Professionals website. You can find your future home there, a lot of good information, and you can find us on audio-only options through